And now, part 2.
I think that's more a case of as soon as these guys get their hands on him and get a sense for how strong he is, they don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Well, you're not very strong off your back. I think a guy like Machida would give him problems.
A guy like Machida would probably give him problems. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I think he could try all of his fruit booty fucking fainting shit he wants. I think Machida would fucking straight right through that.
Oh, but I think Johnny Jones would wade right into that clinch and take
Do you
him.
think he'd clinch him without eating straight punches?
Well, he might get hit, but I don't think he'd get hit enough to stop him.
Oh, you're not giving his sumo enough credit.
His chin is still fresh. He hasn't taken any damage at all, which means, barring he has a real soft chin, he's going to be able to take a lot of good punches. I like him over Machida big time. Big time. I think this the real big news coming out of this fight was I
guess we could talk about the fight first.
Is that Johnny Jones is established now. That fight over Ryan Bader solidified
Submission finish, and not just a catch submission, but a dominating grappling performance into a submission.
What's nice about this too is we got to see him fight for quite a while. I guess it was a testament to how tough Stephan Bonner is, but we didn't get to see Rumble really, or we didn't get to see Mr. Jones there fight for very long afterwards because he was just smoking guys. He was just crushing them. And now we got to see him for a bit here, and he's looking good.
Very rangy with his kicks.
Yeah, mixed up his striking. I don't think we saw anything spin this time though.
Spinning back kick.
Ah, he must have been watching Joe Rogan teaching George that maybe. Catch that online. Yeah, it was fantastic. The big news is though afterwards, coming out of that fight. Rashad Evans is out with a knee injury, and they offered
sprained MCL.
They offered Mr. Jones a title shot March 19th against Shogun Rua. It was an awesome piece of film right there. You really captured the energy. They did a good job of keeping it under wraps until that moment, so it seemed fresh and fun.
That's what you're into. That fight was literally made cage side. Shogun agreed to that fight right before either fighter walked out. And Jones accepted that one in the ring.
Yeah, 6 weeks in between now and then. Word on the street is this fight was offered to Rampage Jackson, and Rampage Jackson turned it down. Who knows? That's just what Shogun had said to Tatsume.com. So.
Who knows what Rampage looks like right now too. That fight's 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
Page should be weighing 260 pounds right now for all the guy knows.
Absolutely. That's a real good fact. You don't want to.
Or he could be terrified. He's done that before too.
You don't want too many energy drinks. You don't want to draw the wrong conclusion. That's a fact. But I mean, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. There's a lot of buzz behind it. And I'm looking forward to it.
What shape are Shogun's knees in?
This will be his first fight coming off reconstructive surgery. I think it's his third reconstructive knee surgeries in like 5 years. So I mean, who knows?
I'd rather see this fight in a time machine.
That's the problem with having the title, and Rashad waiting around to fight for the title, is that you can't take a softball fight coming back. There are no easy fights at 205, especially when you got that gold wrapped around your waist. So he's in an unfortunate situation where he's going to have to fight a guy like John Jones' first fight back off the knee surgery.
Favorite in the fight.
Yeah.
John Jones over Shogun.
Opened
up at the favorite.
Is that due to concerns about Shogun's knee, or is that because Johnny Jones has looked so dominant?
I'm sure it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Shades of gray, my man. Shades of gray. In the co-main event of the evening, we had Rich Ace Franklin taking on Forrest Griffin. This was a fun fight. Went pretty much according to plan.
Yeah, Forrest got on top of him, made it ugly. I think he hit 4 or 5 for 7 of his takedowns.
Yeah, I think he was 5 for 7 on his takedowns. He outstruck Rich Franklin in every round.
You could just see how much bigger he was.
I believe FightMatrix.com had the statistics looking at Rich Franklin winning the 3rd round but losing the first 2. Watching the fight, I think I had Forrest Griffin winning all 3 fights, or 3 rounds. It was good. He looked really good. It
didn't look close to me at all. I thought Forrest just came in and he did his job, did some work.
I had 2 issues with this fight. I didn't think Rich Franklin was busy enough. I didn't think Rich Franklin moved enough. And then his corner. They didn't do a good job of instilling.
They were not good motivators.
Well, and they didn't accurately reflect the situation. That you're down 2 rounds, Rich. You got to come out and knock this cat out. You can't just
let him go.
You can't even have a dominant 3rd round. You got to beat this guy's ass, a 10-8 at the minimum. right? And they didn't do a good job of getting that across to Rich, I don't think.
Well, I don't think you can go 10 years of throwing funky-looking hooks without that being figured out. He's been that style of punching he's had forever. That he's basically been the same fighter for the utmost years, and that's what made him such a good fighter in the beginning.
Yeah,
He was such a well-rounded fighter, but his game has not really evolved, aside from adding maybe a little more of a kicking game.
I got to level with you. I think a lot of it had to do with the caliber of guys Ace was fighting coming up. You know, he did have a lot of fights against guys like Evan Tanner, things of that nature. You know, I love Evan Tanner, rest in peace, awesome fighter. But
Well, he was physically and genetically gifted, strength and the ability to cut weight, and he had a fairly well-rounded game with fairly good power. But I think people have been looking at that for a long time now.
yeah, definitely. I think going forward, you could maybe look to a rematch between Forrest Griffin and Rampage Jackson, something like that.
That'd be a fun fight.
I think that'd be good. I really enjoyed the first one.
Where do you see Rich going?
Rich, maybe Bader.
That'd be a fun fight. I think that'd be lights out for Rich Franklin.
You know, I think it's the kind of thing where, you know, you could have easily made this fight where it would have been.
That's like Rich Franklin versus Matt Hamill with hearing.
You know, speaking of Matt Hamill, you know, I really wish that Ace Franklin would have used that body kick, that left kick more that he was throwing on Forrest. You know,
Lots of power in that southpaw stance.
Lots of
Kick to
power.
your liver.
It was landing. You know, there's a lot of space there because he's such a big guy. You know, it was a good fight. Loved it. Looking forward to it. Looking forward
I
to seeing
think
these guys fight again.
he was fearing the takedown from that scene because that's a big guy to get on top of you.
Yeah, that's risky business. Yeah, great fight. Looking forward to their next one.
When Rich Franklin's last time he worked off his back was the armbar Jorge Rivera. I can't remember if that was from the top or the bottom.
Yeah, he got Jorge from the bottom. And yeah, maybe Travis Luter. There was a bit of groundwork with him underneath.
Counter grappling more so.
Counter grappling. Fun fight. That was good escape. You wonder though.
Running the pipe.
Running the pipe.
Up in Montreal.
Up in Montreal. Yeah, that was a good time. Sports on tap.
Moving on
to the main event of the evening. We had Anderson the Spider Silva versus Vitor the Phenom Belfort. This was a highly anticipated fight. The buzz was palpable from the jawing at the weigh-in to the gigantic Brazilian media contingent. This fight had a good buzz behind it, and you know, it really delivered. You know,
delivered like a kick in the face,
Like
like a
a-
kick in the head.
like a kick in the head. Yeah, it was phenomenal. You know, there was about 2.5 minutes of staring competition,
It looked like a stinker at first.
followed by a brief exchange, and then
But Vitor's bringing it to him. He threw 1-2, I think, and a head kick, and he was looking to fight him.
And you know, I think that there's two things that you have to take from this. One, you can't really say how it makes Vitor look because the fight was so short. And two, you can't really fault him for getting smoked with that kick because it's the sort of thing that's very hard to train for.
What a strange kick, and it
What a
it looked like it shut his lights off 75%.
what a special athlete Anderson Silva is to be able to throw that with the kind of velocity.
And the power he gets in is ground and pound. Just those 2 shots he threw when he was hunched over, it looked like they just rocked Vitor.
Punch placement, leverage, range. You know, he uses all those things as good as anyone. Phenomenal, good card all around. Maybe not quite as good as people were expecting, but I had I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I'm looking forward to UFC.
That kick was
127.
above the law.
It-
That's a registered lethal weapon.
You know, my heart really goes out to Paul Taylor. You know, you deliver a highlight reel knockout like that, only to see you know, the guy in the main event deliver probably something you'll never see again.
Even Kyle Kingsbury's knockout was fucking awesome.
I imagine all those guys are probably getting some bonuses backstage. Good times. Moving up.
Anderson only made a little bit of money on this fight. He did on paper. I think he's a bigger pay-per-view cut, but he only made a couple $100,000.
I don't think you can really draw too much about what they're reporting to the athletic commissions. I think a lot.
Well,
of
I
it's
do. I
done-
think it points out how crooked it is.
I think a lot of it's done off the books. I mean, and there's a lot of stuff that
It needs transparency.
who knows what's going on with sponsorship stuff? Who knows what's going on with the bonus situation? You know. Who
Well, if
knows?
you can afford to get Steven Seagal to train you, you're doing all right.
That's a fact. You know, and apparently he's teaching him deadly stuff. Deadly stuff.
It's fightingstupid.blogspot.com.